Hello, welcome to the Modern Musclehead Podcast. This is Scott Tousignant of MetabolicMasterpiece.com, along with Bryan Krahn, BryanKrahn.com. Ba-bam. Love it. All right, brother. So last time we talked about kind of getting people started for this fat loss journey. Most people are looking at making a 12-week transformation right now. We're close to 12 weeks away from beach season, and the starting point was to get tracking, to see where you're at and give yourself that foundation to begin with. So today we're going to be talking about whether you should take a slow and steady approach versus an aggressive approach. And we're going to argue there's a case for both. There's a time for an aggressive approach, and there's certainly a time and a place for the slow and a steady approach. I think for the most part, we prefer a nice slow and steady approach, and I think you're finding a lot of the seasoned veterans out there are really gravitating towards that slow and steady approach. Most cases, it's to preserve muscle mass during the cutting phase. And our audience, definitely bros who have been training, they got a lot of years of lifting under their belt, so gains come at a little bit of a slower rate right now. So any gains that we make during that muscle building season, we want to make sure that we maintain it during our cut, that we don't lose any muscle mass, that we preserve it. But there's lots of other benefits that come with a slow and steady approach and benefits that come with an aggressive approach. We're going to get into that right now. Bryan, I just had a great conversation beforehand, and it's interesting to hear both our perspectives on how we start a cut and basically a lot of it has to do with matching it to their personality and lifestyle. So get things rocking here. Let's first define, what would you consider an aggressive approach, and what would you consider a nice slow and steady approach in terms of weight loss per week?
Like in terms of weight loss at the end result?
In the beginning, like per week.
Yeah.
What would be a slow and steady approach that you would set someone up with? How much weight would you recommend that they lose per week if they're going to take a slow and steady approach?
Well, definitely. I mean, depending on, again, depends on the size of the person. Like an average size male, 1 to 2 pounds a week. 1 pound a week, I would say is a nice, sustainable, consistent. I think more than 2.5, that's very fast in my experience, unless the person is quite big.
Right.
I'm working with a guy who started off at 280 pounds. He lost, I don't know how much in the first week. I think it was 6 pounds. It was just boom. But again, much bigger person, a lot more fat to lose. It all depends. Like we always say, man, context is everything.
Yeah, so it's not just the body weight. It really makes a big difference how their body fat percentage as well. So even if you're a larger guy, you're 230 pounds, but you're friggin' lean, you don't want to be losing too aggressive at that point. So going by body weight is okay. I think it's one of my kind of reference points in the beginning. Anywhere from 0.5% to 1% of your total body weight is a good gauge to start initially. So if you're 230 pounds, you're looking at 2.5 pounds a week, which may be perfect if you're got a lot of fat to lose. But if you're 230 pounds and you're like 12% body fat, 2.5 pounds per week may not be the best choice for you.
Exactly. Got to know where you're at and be like, how much fat do I really have to lose? Because we were joking, dudes are always 10% body fat. So it's sometimes I question their calibrating or however they're coming up with this magic percentage. But you have to know where you're at and then kind of set your expectations from there.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. And kind of knowing where you're at in terms of your nutrition as well in the beginning, and your personality, how you're adapting. So we got people started by tracking their nutrition in that first week. Whether it's journaling, MyFitnessPal, whatever is the best method for you. Now, from that point, some people, just that act can be enough to see. They just start cleaning up their eating and just going through that process gets some weight loss to go in the very beginning without even really creating that much of a deficit. That's an approach that you really like to take with your clients in the beginning. For most of your clients, it sounds like.
Yeah, because most of my clients when they come to me, they're relatively new at food tracking or just sort of new to the lifestyle. Like they've been working out for a long time, but now they really want to kind of take it a little bit more seriously. So just that act of tracking their food and then kind of figuring out their calories and what they're eating and getting consistent, that always causes fat loss. And I love it when I get feedback like, this is easy. I'm just eating the way I normally eat, and I'm losing fat, and I feel good. My energy's good, and my family isn't looking at me funny because I'm eating out of Tupperware. Like I love that feedback because I know they're kind of hooked, and it's not this big crazy lifestyle shakeup. And I got them for a while. And we can slowly get more and more, aggressive and take stuff away. You know what I mean?
And that's such a good point. It's you don't want it to be too much of a lifestyle shakeup in the beginning, and you want this to become a lifestyle for them, something that they can sustain for the long term. And when they see it, they appreciate. Holy smokes, this isn't that bad. You definitely you've got them in the beginning, and it suits their personality. And because some people, they quit right off the bat because they're like, geez, I can't keep this up. This is what you have to do to lose weight and get in shape. Forget that. That's ridiculous. When do I get to eat again? So, really, the psychological, you really got to know yourself. Us as coaches, we got to get a good understanding of our clients as well. But definitely know yourself and what's going to allow you to sustain this approach for the longer term, this whole lifestyle thing here. And for some people, they need that instant gratification. They need to see that scale go down immediately. And you got to kind of know yourself there. Is that what you really need to kind of keep things going? Like, if I'm going to start this, if I'm going to start cutting right now and get ripped, I've got to see some serious results, especially if they have a coach right now. I'm paying for this. I'm investing in the gym. I'm investing in a coach. I want to see that scale go down. So I don't know how big a population. I'd say that group is smaller. But again, it depends on how aggressive they really want to see that scale go down. And I know we kind of discourage clients from really wanting to go that route of seeing that scale go down a whole bunch in the beginning. But for some people, they need to see that. And my job as a coach is kind of, all right, I'm going to give them what they want in the beginning. I'm going to let them see that scale drop fast. And it normally does anyways. When you start making some changes, you're in a surplus. Even if the deficit isn't all that great, you're just going to see that scale go down because of the food volume in your stomach and your intestines, the waste product, the glycogen, the water, all that crazy fun stuff. You're going to see that scale drop initially in that first week, no matter how aggressive you're going to be. But then it's my job as a coach to like, all right, you can't keep this up. The benefits of taking a slow and steady approach are going to far outweigh you trying to lose 3 to 4 pounds every single week. It's just a bit crazy. So, but in the beginning, if that aggressive approach is going to get them excited and fired up and keep them going, then I can use that to their advantage initially, but really give them what they want and then give them what they really need by teaching them the benefits of that slow and steady approach afterwards.
Absolutely. And I do think, like, I'm not dumping on aggressive diets for everyone and for all the time. I mean, I think it's a really good thing to kind of have in your back pocket that you play, occasionally, like, because like we were discussing earlier, people you set up a diet and people invariably they'll fall behind and it'd be a good thing to work into the mix. And certainly when you're more experienced bro, sometimes there's nothing wrong with a short, 4-week kind of burst. I mean, as long as it's not sustainable and there's going to be some rebound and it's just use it for what it is. Just a kind of a short-term tool.
Exactly. And just again, for me, if you're going to think aggressive, I think don't be any more aggressive than 1% of your body weight. And for me, I really like to take the benefit of starting off with that 1% body weight loss per week is that I see some results in the beginning, but also that, I know I have a bit more fat on my body. So being that little bit more aggressive in the beginning, I know the chances that weight is going to come off from body fat. The leaner I get, I tend to be less aggressive. So during a cut, if it's a 12-week cut, I'm going to start around that 1% of my total body weight. And then towards the end of the cut, I'm going to be aiming for 0.5% of my body weight loss per week. So I'm always kind of looking for that trend on the scale. Definitely for the first 4 weeks, I'm looking at that 1% of my total body weight to really feed off of that positive feedback and knowing that I got a little bit more body fat there to pull from. But then as I get leaner towards the end of my cut, that's when I really get concerned about the preserving my muscle mass. So that's when I really want to kind of slow things down. But I also notice that if I'm really aggressive or aiming for that 1% body weight loss per week, I start to look a little bit flatter towards the end, and I look smaller. And as a smaller guy, that starts playing in my head psychologically. So I give myself more time in my cut to allow for that increase of calories at the end. The last 4 weeks, I'm bumping up my calories, so I'm only losing 0.5% of my body weight towards the end, and I look full, and the psychological benefits of upping my calories as I'm going along feels really good to me. So that's been an approach that I've embraced for the past few years, kind of like growing into my photo shoot or growing into the show. So I look fuller, more energized, just feel better towards the end of a cut. So that's one of the reasons why I like that. But we've talked at the beginning of the conversation that sometimes if you're aggressive in the beginning, what happens when you hit a plateau? Where do you improve from? Like, you're already aggressive with your calories. Do you cut calories more? Do you increase your exercise more? So that's one of the downfalls of being too aggressive in the beginning. You have nowhere to cut when you hit a plateau.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, like what you're doing, I mean, you're a very experienced kind of seasoned bodybuilder. And certainly if I'm working with someone who's they're that initiated in the process and they have all the those big rocks down, like they're consistent and their calories are, very, very much in line with the plan. Like there's no wild fluctuations and their food choices are good and stuff like that. Then I can afford to maybe get a little bit more aggressive and then kind of start bringing things up depending on how they look. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Depending on, then all of a sudden it's like how they look and obviously how they feel. And that's,
all based on the feedback. It's all, no matter where you're starting, whether you're starting aggressive or slower, you're always looking for that feedback and whether you need to make adjustments or not. And sometimes for me, it's not even a drop in calories that's going to, or an increase in calories that's going to allow me to only lose 0.5 pound. It's just metabolism is slowing down a little bit towards the end. So I could be continuing to exercise just as much as I am and eating as much as I am, and that scale progress starts to slow down anyways, naturally, without me having to make any change.
And it's never linear.
Never. Yeah, exactly.
It's never linear. Yeah. So that's why,
Although I got to say, it was pretty damn... My last cut, it was like spot on. Everything was like, I couldn't believe it. It was like, I was 1.4 pounds a week, right up for the first... It was a 9-week cut, so the first 5 weeks, it was 1.4, and then, okay, I got to slow it down, and it was 0.8 from all the way there. I'm like, it could have gone better for me, but that's like one of my cuts out of many, many, many that I've gone through that's been a straight linear progress there for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I think that is ideal. The way when you have a really hard date and you're in pretty good condition, I think that is ideal, is to kind of get to where you want to be. 2 to 4 weeks out, and then slowly start bringing things up and growing into the show.
That's a good point, though. I'm experienced, and I think you really need to be tracking really efficiently in order for that to work really well. Now, for a lot of the guys coming to us in the beginning, you're like you said, it's those small baby steps in the beginning that may work really well for them. Just cleaning up their diet, like sweeping, washing their diet. No, just that small little changes make progress, and then you start to add little things. So even though you may start with very little changes, and building it up, increasing or taking a few more things away here and there, it's not like you're getting crazy aggressive towards the end. It's a slow build up to kind of where I'd be starting off at the beginning. So really never too aggressive, but it's a nice slow and steady build up to where they need to be. And lots of benefits to both.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And probably mainly personality, just really knowing where you're at, what your lifestyle is like, and your personality, how you're going to respond to it and sustain this for the long term.
Absolutely. It's nothing wrong with aggressive diets, but for the most part, it's definitely something you kind of keep to play as needed.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. So even our aggressive approach still seems like a slow and steady approach. if I'm talking, I'm approaching sound like myself, looking at like my aggressive portion is 1.5 pounds a week. That's slow and steady, man. That's a slow and steady approach by most people's standards, what they think of. is that's 1.5 pounds. Fuck, that's slow. That's going to take a while, but all context, like you said. So,
every bro does the protein sparing metabolic fast. You know what I mean? That's, if we're going to talk to the bros, that's what they do. They go on the 1,200 calorie freaking. I just eat protein and broccoli and low fats, and wow, I lost 5 pounds in a week. And it's like, yeah, man, dude, you just realize that this is not sustainable. You're going to put a lot of it back on. You know, again, there's some variance. There's some, they'll probably still you'll come out ahead, but not as, it all comes out in the wash. Like if you had just planned things a little bit better, gave yourself more time, you could have actually been growing while you're dieting, which.
That's a good point.
That's certainly
a good point, especially for someone in the beginning. You take a slow and steady approach, your chances of body recomp are going to be a lot higher. Like possibly gaining, not only just muscle retention, but your chances of even possibly gaining muscle in this process, definitely through the roof. Huge point.
Well, huge. And let's be honest. I mean, even I say growing while you're dieting, even if you're not technically growing, but you're hanging on to all your muscle, I mean, that's freaking growing.
Yeah.
Like, so, I mean, that's a good thing. I mean, that's a win. That's a huge win.
Huge.
So, I mean,
massive.
I mean, totally.
Awesome, dude. Well, I think that's it. I think, again, slow and steady is the way to go based on us. Aggressive, by our terms, is still slow and steady. So take that slow and steady approach. Do what's going to suit your personality, your lifestyle, something that you can feel like, damn, it's not that bad. I can do this. I can handle this. It suits my lifestyle. And really, it makes it fun, enjoyable, sustainable. That's really the key, what we're after here.
Yeah.
Rock on. All right. Catch you guys next time. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Peace.
Yeah.